religion at all.
Uh-huh.
But it bothered me when you were talking about Islam being not a religion of peace. Muhammad was a very peaceful man.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, well, if you read,
No,
yes,
no.
and he had a great respect for women. His wives were given a great deal of power over him. And
have you been reading Karen Armstrong? Is that where this is coming from?
No. I've read Karen Armstrong, but no. And, you know, what's happening now with Islam is it's bastardized, just like all the other religions. But it bothers me that you.
So you're saying the true Islam, if we could only return to it, would just nullify all of my concerns about Islam?
I don't think any religion is a good religion, but it bothers me that you singled Islam out, and that you said that, you know, that actually that Muhammad was a peaceful man.
Okay,
and
well,
that
Muhammad, who knows who Muhammad was? I mean, Muhammad's actually closer to history than Jesus and many of the other patriarchs, so we know more about him. But obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty about what's factual. But the example of Muhammad, as held in Islam universally, is not of a pacifist. He was a conquering warlord who spread the faith with the sword quite successfully. And the expectation is this is a way of being in the world that is by example totally justified. Now this is different from Jesus. Jesus did not spread the faith with a sword. He was essentially a hippie who got crucified. Now that's a different example, and it's a difference that is a benefit to Christianity at the moment, because Christianity, in Christianity, you can come up with a rationale for saying, listen, it's not about conquering the world. It's not about winning in this life. We just got to wait for Jesus to come back and get raptured. But you can't really do that in Islam. I mean, Christianity has a line like, render unto God that which is God, and unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And that line from Matthew, has done huge work to separate Christianity from claim upon terrestrial power. Now, it's imperfect work, and there are a lot of crazy Christians who want terrestrial power, but at least there's some rationale within Christianity for doing that. That rationale doesn't exist in Islam. There's no line in the Quran which says, listen, guys, this is not about politics, it's not about controlling people's lives. You can be privately religious and let everyone else flourish.
But the subjugation of women was not something that Muhammad was
interested in. You're just not. Please just go read the Quran and read some significant. Okay, well then surely you read the part in the Quran which talked about husbands scourging or whipping, depending on the translation, their wives who are disobedient. Now,
that's in Judaism also.
What was that? Okay, okay, so it's in Judaism, but I will grant you that the worst books ever written were in the Old Testament. Okay, but there's a reason why Jews are not stoning their wives for adultery at this moment in history, and we can talk about those reasons. What I said about Islam was intended to counter exactly the presuppositions you are now bringing to me. I don't have time to do it here, but I can only invite you to read more on the subject, because we are deluding ourselves with a lot of wishful thinking. I mean, we are desperate to believe that all of the problems in the world are of our own making. If we could just spread more money around and behave better on the global stage, people will treat us well.
I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out?
Is truly a moderate Muslim. She needs to stand up for women's rights. She needs to stand up for those who beat women, who kill women, who maim women, who genitally mutilate women. She needs to stand up and speak out about the kidnapping of the girls by Boko Haram that you are not speaking for. You are taking your place while you have access to the media, and you are here obviously because of your deception and lies and what you did at the Heritage Foundation, so you can point the light to the issue of the Islamic. And thank you so much for bringing that out. Use that opportunity to speak about where are the girls that were kidnapped by your own co-religionists. As a Muslim woman, it is people like you who needs to stand up.
Ms. Ahmed, we'll give you the last word.
I have been speaking out against Boko Haram kidnappings. We have been. And I just want to clarify one point. You mentioned about me being friends with the convicted terrorist. I've never even met him. I saw him once at the court. And I was a Muslim community spokesperson in Oregon. And obviously, a mosque burned down right after his arrest. So we were suffering a lot of hate crimes.
Please. There's plenty of information that people can easily find on Google by just typing your name.
Well, I'm telling you the truth from my side. I'm sure there are a lot of people say a lot of things.
You and the word truth need to be in the same sentence, Saba. Let's be very clear about this.
Well, I think you're misguided, and I think you're the ones who needs to hear the truth from Muslims.
I'm very clear, and I don't mince words, and I don't beat around the bush, and I know my facts.
All right,
do you know any Muslims?
Yes, I do. A lot. Remember, I was born and raised in the Middle East.
I know. I wrote about you. You're Noor Saman.
I'm very familiar with your writing.
How many Muslim friends do you have here in the U.S.?
I do have friends here in the U.S.
I'd like
that's
to
beside
talk to
the
them.
point. That is beside the point. That's beside the point. As a patriotic American, I use the opportunity that I have to shine the light about how I can protect my fellow American citizens, because I am an American first, and my loyalty is for this country. And anything happens to any American, I'm the first person to stand up, defend them, fight for them. You are not. Your loyalty is somewhere else. It's about time we see more patriotism from the Muslim community and less terrorism.
Bridget, I'm an American, and I'd like you to defend me.
I defend people who are worth defending. I don't defend liars and deceivers. I defend patriots who love this country and are willing to put their lives on the line to protect it. You are not. Your loyalties are to defend a terrorist who wanted to blow up a Christmas tree lighting in Oregon and kill many Americans. Shame on you.
Bridget, every defense lawyer has to defend somebody, okay? I don't think you've studied criminal law too well.
You are an activist. You are far more than just a defense lawyer. You are an activist with shady friends and shady character. Let's take the gloves off and speak the truth, Saba. This time, you're dealing with Brigitte Gabriel. You're not dealing with somebody timid that you can manipulate and talk over. Not this time, Saba. People like you need to be put in their place. This is America. We love our country and we will fight for our country and protect her from people exactly like you and expose people exactly like you.
Wow, Bridget, you just sound very, very angry.
No,
I think you need some reality check.
I'm not angry.
I did want to make a point.
Is something
Ramadan's
completely different.
Up, so please do visit a local mosque wherever you live. I hope you get to meet a few other Muslims besides me and learn some, meet some peaceful Muslims.
I have a lot of outstanding, wonderful Muslim friends.
Good.
Who
so go
are
talk to
very
them.
much different than you.
Okay, well, but I'd love to meet you too. Let's meet up here. You know, I think we need to talk to each other without screaming. And
we're not screaming, we are talking passionately.
Now
That's
you're
very
calming
different.
down, but from the beginning you were very, very loud, and I don't know what was going on, but now you're starting to calm down,
because
which is good.
I don't allow liars to speak over me because I put the truth
How
out.
dare you
I
call
will
me
not
a
let you
liar?
go unchallenged.
You are so mean. Did someone ever tell
what are
you?
we, children? I'm a terrorism analyst, darling.
slandering
I
me.
debate you. You're a lawyer. Meanness has nothing to do with logic. We're having a
Bridget,
logical, factual conversation. So
you
let's
are
leave the little
slandering
girl
me
play that you're trying to pull aside. I'm a businesswoman. I don't play like that.
I know.